let's dive back into ponies. Yes. Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to another reaction. And this is a reaction and review to the 4th episode of MLP Pony Life, Cute-Pocalypse Cute-Pocalypse Meow. Oh, this sounds adorable. So, and yes, I'm wearing a pony shirt. This happens to be my other MLP shirt that I got. I wore this right here. Sorry. I wore this right here. I think during the, let's see, I think I wore this on the second day of BronyCon 2019. I believe it was. So let's go ahead and dive into ponies and see what cuteness awaits us in this episode, because this sounds adorable. So let's dive into ponies. Oh gosh, this sounds cute. Okay, start the video in 3, 2, 1. Wait, sorry. 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, what is that?
Give me your best game face. It's a big day, baby. Let's do this. Get your face out of the oven and into some icing. I'm feeling pumped. Ah! The cake is yours to take. Darling, you're so cute when you're trying to be tough. I can be tough. I have a dark side. Get those cakes in the oven.
She's channeling what she learned from not Buff Biceps. Oh, she's cute.
Oh no, the ants are taking over the picnic basket. They've seized the sandwiches.
They must be stopped.
Your cat. Oh, you're
Bubbles,
cute.
Cherub, McSquee. May I join you?
Fluttershy, have a seat. You like making up conversations too?
They've broken through the pie. We have to make a call here.
Take the pie. Sacrifice the sandwiches.
Ooh, you are so cool.
I just don't see the point of savory desserts. They're supposed to be sugary sweet.
What's cracking you up over there, Fluttershy?
Darling, huh? You haven't even touched your triple
Is that a phone?
shake. Who are you conversing with?
Oh my gosh, she's using the phone.
Art gallery, but it's more like a fart gallery. These paintings stink.
Oh, my new friend Bubbles is so funny.
Don't you think that's kind of mean?
It's not mean. He's just got a dark sense of humor. Just like me.
I can relate.
If he's a friend of yours, he's a friend
Oh,
of ours.
Discord will be so gelling right now.
Oh my gosh, yes! Then it's settled. What's settled now?
And Discord also gave you that phone, didn't he?
Where's Fluttershy? She's never late.
She's gonna miss the stretch and warm up. She can pull a muscle.
Yeah, she learned what she's taking cues from what she learned from Iron Will.
Before we start.
Yeah, we're squeezing it in. This is Bubbles.
Hi, Bubbles. Pleasure to meet you. Heard a lot about you.
Ah, I bet you have.
All right, every pony. Who's ready to work out?
Oh,
Cute
we'll
character.
be here if we want.
And 1, 2, 3.
I didn't realize this was a class to learn how to count.
These weights are heavier than I thought. Bubbles! You're such a prankster.
Ow!
That hurt. But you gotta admit it's funny. What is your deal?
Oh, I almost forgot! I got us
Cats in general.
bracelets!
That won't fix anything.
Bubbles, you're the best. Thanks.
This is literally the coolest place I've ever been
Spike?
in my entire life.
That's just sad.
First episode seeing you.
Oh. Ooh, check out this book.
Already read it. Saw the movie. It was bad.
DVDs,
Boring.
computers.
Plain cover. Bet it's bad.
But you can't judge a book by its cover.
I can. Ah, yes. 3 months of work. All done.
It's a cat.
Bubbles, how could you?
Oopsies.
It's okay. We'll help you rebuild it. You said it only took...
3 months. Closer to 4.
Can you two help?
Sorry, my paws are full. With BFF necklaces to match our bracelets!
There's no way she'd fall for it.
You're the best.
Oh, I see it.
Thanks for being my taste testers as I sail into the uncharted waters of savory dessert. I now present the cheesy spinach cupcake. Enjoy! Oh my, Pinky.
This dessert is still sweet. Like taffy dipped in ice cream rolled in sugar level sweet.
I couldn't do it! I have to add sugar! They're cupcakes for crying out loud! I'll never win the Royal Jelly Juggernaut!
Oh, who cares? Reality TV is trash anyway.
Bubbles, you can't say things like that. It's mean.
It's the truth. I just can't sugarcoat reality.
But you should sugarcoat everything! Pinky, don't listen.
Oh no!
Him. Oh no! How could you?
Was it something I said?
Oh. No, Bubbles. We have to talk about...
Look what I got! A BFF anklet!
Anklet.
I think that's good enough from you. Look what you have done. Upsetting our sweetness pie.
All I did was tell the truth.
Well, you did, but this time it came out too mean.
If you can't handle me at my realest, then you don't deserve me at my cutest. I'm outie!
Howdy.
And I'm taking my things.
Hey, those were a symbol of our friendship. I've never seen him like this, so mean.
Fluttershy, the fact of the matter is that Bubbles hasn't been the nicest to us.
You're right. He really hasn't been that nice to me either. He just looks cute and gives me a gift whenever he's mean. I think it's time you see my dark side once and for all.
Oh yeah!
Oh, darling, I'm not sure you can... Okay, all right, you've got this. Hey, you don't just talk to my friends like that and then bail.
Oh, Fluttershy, is it? Yeah, what brings you all the way over to Sugar Packet Place?
What is going on? You just took our friendship jewelry and left.
Listen, our friendship was fun while it lasted, but I'm just too cool for you and your friends.
Hold up. Hold up, Rare.
This is my new best friend, Fluttershy.
What?
You already have a new best friend? You gave her my BFF bracelet?
Yeah, because unlike you and your friends, she can handle my cuteness/sass.
You call it sass, but it's actually being mean. I've had enough of you.
Oh, come on, don't be mad.
Oh, going cute on me, huh? Well, two can play at that game.
It's Fluttershy!
Goodness, she's trying to out adorable him.
You can't out-cute Fluttershy. Yeah, Fluttershy's got this in the bag.
Too cute.
Oh, it's a cute off. Yep. Fluttershy in general. I'm surprised.
He couldn't keep up with my cuteness after all.
Who
Thanks,
can?
every pony, for being there for me. Even when I ditched you for some too cool cat who doesn't deserve my friendship.
Aww.
Bubbles, I'm bored. Make me laugh. Oh, Bubbles, you're so funny. All right, I have given savory desserts one last attempt. With soup and salad cake. The frosting is a balsamic glaze.
Well, this is definitely savory. Good work, Pinky.
You know what I'm craving? Something sweet. Don't worry, I've got you covered.
Yeah.
Mmm, what a treat. Delicious.
Sweet as Fluttershy.
Hey, you know how tough I am now.
Okay, that was really cute. That was really cute. And honestly, yeah, yeah, I can totally see basically the understanding. There's a couple of things that I can take from this episode, a couple of morals that I can understand with this particular episode. There are a couple of things that I can honestly take from this episode, regarding the story, the moral here. One, of course, I can say is, well, okay, there's kind of a third, but it's a bit of a sensitive thing, and it's not something that I'm comfortable personally with saying. But whenever, I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way first. The segment that Fluttershy makes a mention about this guy, was kind of mean to her and only gave her gifts whenever he was being mean. I hate to say this, but this is honestly like some relationships and friendships in general. I mean, and it works both ways. I'm not going to say this just guys. There are guys that treat women very badly in a relationship, and for some reason, women hang on to these guys. And likewise, there are women that treat guys badly in a relationship, and for some reason, the guys put up with her. I know of a guy whom I work with. Actually, he works a different shift, but he works where I work. Who has basically been dragged through the mud with the woman that he's with, and why he put up with it, I have no idea. I honestly have no idea why he put up with it. I would have sent that bitch packing a long time ago. But this right here, it's an uncomfortable thing because the reality is that this is a thing. There are bad one-sided relationships and also friendships too, where someone may act, for some reason people put up with this kind of crap. I don't understand why. That they deal with it. They're pretty much bullied and belittled, and they're always mistreated. And me myself, I would say, if it's not good, if the other person is treating you like this, treating you like crap, regardless of whether it's a relationship or a friendship, you can do better. Like, it's not worth demeaning yourself and subjecting yourself to that kind of mental and psychological torture, and and just being upset with it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Get out of that and move on. You don't need to subject yourself to such belittling and such torment as that. And so that's one thing that, I mean, it's a small thing, but in honesty, it does bring that to mind. There are people that are in bad relationships, one-sided relationships. I have seen women before that have been, I've read about it, I've heard about it, both men and women that have been in relationships and friendships that it was completely one-sided. They were mistreated. They weren't treated with any bit of respect whatsoever. They were completely treated like crap, yet the other person kept them around just because. And for some reason, I mean, sometimes people do this because they feel like it's a phantom thing. They want to believe that there's something there, that the other person actually cares, but in actuality they don't. And I've seen people do this before, try to lie to themselves and try to try to convince themselves that there's something there, that it will work out, that it's okay. And some people, I think, can honestly somehow convince themselves of that, and they try to look over it. Other people, however, are able to see how badly that they are being treated, and the good thing is some people are able to get out of that. And if you have been in this situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And sometimes it's hard. I know sometimes it's hard to see it outside of your own perspective, because you see this other person and they treat you bad, but then suddenly they do something sweet or seemingly sweet, and they try to hold on to you, but they don't really want to keep you around. If they respected you, they would treat you better. That's just the fact. If they respected you and actually cared for you, they would treat you with more respect, more love, and more concern and more care for you, instead of just treating you like crap, like someone to have on their arm, or just an accessory. That's all you are, is just nothing but an accessory. If you are in the situation, and Fluttershy, it took her friends opening up her eyes. I mean, she kind of realized it, but it took her friends, letting her know how this guy treated them, and she was able to see, her eyes were able to be open to really see how he treated her, and she was able to realize that, and she was able to stand up for him. And that's really good for Fluttershy, because there are a lot of times in real life that doesn't happen. It should, but it doesn't. And so if you find yourself, and sometimes you don't see something like this, it takes someone from an outside perspective to see it. And so I would say, if you are in this sort of situation, please have respect for yourself and get out of the situation. Toss this person aside. They don't care for you, and get out of it. And that's what I would say. Cut them loose, because you don't need to drag yourself through the mud and subject yourself to such ridiculous um, psychological and mental and emotional torture and strain. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, and it never will be worth it. And stand up to them and cut them loose. That's the best thing to do. You deserve to be treated better, and that's exactly what happened here. Now, of course, this works with friendships as well. Of course, it's not just relationships, it's friendships as well. And so that's honestly a darker side to this particular story. It's portrayed in a lighter way, but I myself can see that. I don't know if that's the intention of what the writers wanted to convey with this particular thing, but it definitely is something that I myself noticed. And I'm sure some other people have noticed it as well. But interesting, but honestly, Fluttershy was a good character to play that, to use to play that, because the bad thing about this sort of situation is there are people like this guy that will pick on someone who doesn't really stand up for themselves. And I'm not saying that's bad on Fluttershy here. I'm not picking on her. Fluttershy can stand up for herself, but some people pick an easy target. And if you don't stand up for yourself, you will be a victim. You will be a target. And so you have to have balls. You have to have ovaries. You have to let people know that you're not going to be that you're not going to be walked on, that you're not a doormat. And you have to be aware. You have to be aware of what is going on, and you can't just you can't just go with the flow and just accept everything that is tossed upon you. Like with Fluttershy here, there are situations that are far worse than this, far worse, and it's not something that I'm comfortable with even thinking about personally, because I have seen this before, I've read about it, I've heard about it, and I've witnessed it before. People that have been in bad relationships and bad friendships, that they were not treated. They were treated extremely poorly, but yet for some reason they hang on to them. I have seen this play out, and you deserve better. You need to get out of that and stop putting up with it. Put your foot down, stand up for yourself, and I mean this with the utmost respect. Please stop being a doormat. Please stop letting someone walk all over you. Stand up for yourself and get out of that situation, because that person is not worth your time. You are better than them. They are gonna they will get theirs later on. You may not be around to see it, but I guarantee you, whenever karma rears its head on them, it will be worse than anything they ever did to you. I guarantee it. Heck, wait till they die and trust me. Trust me. But like I said, I really don't think it could have been something that they did partially, just slightly worked its way in, wove it into the story to convey that, but it may not have been actually completely intentional, but it was something that I myself noticed. And the other thing, of course, is the second thing that I wanted to mention with the story was the fact that this right here shows this right here is kind of a good thing about how being around someone negative can have a negative influence on you. There really are negative influences. Um, and so you have to be careful about whom you hang out with, whom you are around. Because, I mean, it's very easy. It's happened dozens and dozens, hundreds, thousands of times. People that never drank before, never did drugs. Suddenly they started hanging out with the wrong crowd and they were convinced to do it, and it was something that they regretted. It's easy to get around someone like this, and honestly, and I'm going to dive into religion here a little bit, but it's exactly like with the serpent in the Garden of Eden. They might look simple, they might look easygoing, they might look sweet, but they're not. And so honestly, that's why I don't trust people easily. It takes a long time to earn my trust. And it's not because I don't want to trust people, it's because I know that a lot of people can be dicks. And I'd rather be cautious and not get myself involved with someone or not get in something that I shouldn't. And so I'd rather be cautious and keep my distance and gently, slowly take little baby steps. And I am thankful that I'm able to that seeing situations like this, both in real life and in cartoons, animation, and live action stuff, that I'm able to kind of look at it from a third person perspective instead of just my perspective or their perspective. I'm able to look at it from an outside perspective most of the time, and I'm very thankful for that because it enables me to be able to see the mistakes that I've made and kind of make a decision on what I need to do. And so I'm very thankful that I am able to do that. I'm not able to do it all the time. It's something that I'm constantly working with myself to do, is always look at it from an outside perspective. And sometimes you need an outside perspective. And so Fluttershy was hanging out with the wrong person, and it was kind of detracting from who she was. It was taken away from who she was. She was hanging out with the wrong person, and it was affecting her personality. And the funny thing is, Fluttershy makes a mention about her having a bit of a dark sense of humor. And honestly, this is both adorable and comical and relatable. And there's a couple of things to say about this. I take it here, this could be a carryover from MLP FIM from G4 because of all the times that Fluttershy hung out with Discord. Because Fluttershy admitted that Discord opened her eyes to so many impossibilities and possibilities. And so he had a unique impact on her personality. She's still Fluttershy, but he opened her eyes to many different things that she wasn't aware of before. And I think that could be a carryover here is, her having a bit of a dark sense of humor. Additionally, Fluttershy is kind of like the quiet kid in class, and I have to make this joke. There's a long-running joke that, it's all fun and games until the quiet kid stands up. And, you never mess with the quiet kid. These are long-running jokes, but in all honesty, they're kind of true. Because I think a lot of people who were the quiet kid in class, can honestly say there are people I mean, it's not true for everybody, but I know in fact there are the quiet people. There were always the quiet ones in class that either they end up having a breaking moment and people learn their lesson, or people knew to take them seriously. And so Fluttershy is like the quiet kid in class. It's all fun and games until you make her mad or make him mad, and then that's whenever you're effed. And Fluttershy has a dark sense of humor, which is funny because like I myself have a dark sense of humor. I think I heard it once called like a graveyard sense of humor, and I have a dark sense of humor. Like mine is probably even darker than Fluttershy's, and because there are things that some other people would not laugh at. There are things that I myself would laugh at that people would honestly call me insane and cruel for laughing at, but I can't help it. Um, I have, I'm not even in that field, but I basically have the same kind of sense of humor that paramedics and firefighters have, like especially paramedics. It's the sense of humor that gets you through the day, and it's the sense of humor that tries to keep you sane. And that's exactly my sense of humor. That's exactly my sense of humor. And so I can relate to Fluttershy here, having a bit of a dark sense of humor, and it's kind of comical whenever it's awkward whenever you can make a dark joke. For example, I've said myself that whenever I've made the joke that I can imagine uh whenever I die, instead of just a regular funeral, I can imagine like a ramp outside the funeral home, and then putting the casket on the ramp. The casket slides down the ramp into the back of a hearse that has like a blower sticking out of the hood. It has like dual exhaust, has like a lifted rear end, and then the hearse like burns rubber as it peels out. I can kind of imagine that. And now other people, there are overly sensitive people out there that would say, "Oh my gosh, you shouldn't be imagining that stuff about your death." And I'm thinking, it's my death. I can do what the frick I want with it. And so, yeah, I have a dark sense of humor like that. I can imagine that. I can imagine something comical like a casket being carried out of a funeral home and the first pallbearer tripping, the casket falling, and the body just like slinkying its way, and then you hear the slinky uh, tune, slinky, slinky, as the body goes like head over heels, literally down the steps of a funeral home. I can imagine that, and it's hilarious to me. Other people however, would find offense to that. I don't care, but that's my sense of humor. And so I can relate to Fluttershy here. But it also is on point because some people may share a similar outlook on things as you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're people that you need to hang out with. And this guy, I mean, he's cute as a cat. I love the design, but his personality is abysmal. His personality is exactly, and honestly, it fits for a cat. I'm not saying cats are bad. I love cats. I have one. I love cats. Um, but like this is very much like real life. You have someone mean in an innocent package. They don't. I mean, just they might be mean, but they're not exactly going to be walking around with horns. You know, like I said, it goes back to the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Um, Something may look sweet and innocent, but that doesn't mean that you should partake in it. That doesn't mean that you should do it. And this guy is exactly the definition of that. He doesn't look tough, he looks sweet and innocent, and loves to play the sweet and innocent card. And there are people like that in real life that will do that. There are people that will be mean and manipulative and cruel, and then the moment that you turn and look at them, suddenly they're all sweet and innocent and cute. And they try to play that card, and they they've used it for so long. It's a system that they have. I have seen people like this in real life. These people exist on the internet. These people exist in real life. And it's kind of funny because basically this is their get out of jail free card in their little life version of Monopoly. They've got that's their little security blanket. And people like this, they will try to manipulate you and take advantage of you. And I don't know, and honestly, they will try to use you. People like this, that's one reason why some people like this will hang on to you, is because they try to take advantage, pardon me, because they try to take advantage of you and use you. And there are people that like this, the moment that you reveal that you stand up for yourself and you're like, I'm done being taken advantage of, suddenly they're gone. And honestly, you don't need those people. Those people aren't worth it. Going back to the end of the episode, this guy reveals how quickly that he moved on. And this shows the disconnection, the detachment that people like this can have, because they don't really care. They easily move on from one person to the next. Whomever is a sucker for them, they move on to the next sucker in line. And that's exactly what they look for. They look for suckers. They don't exactly look for people that are intelligent, because they know they can't take advantage of someone who is aware of that they're being taken advantage of. And so this guy tried to manipulate and use Fluttershy. And he kind of wanted to leave her, and he kind of rubbed it in her face that he had made a new friend. And he wanted, and that people like this honestly disgust me, because he wanted to break her. He wanted to make her feel guilty and make her feel like it was her fault, and that she just couldn't get him. And he tried to kind of put it off on her, make it sound like it was her fault. She didn't get him. It just wasn't going to work out. And he wanted her to suffer. He wanted her to be emotionally and mentally broken because he had moved on. I have seen people like this in real life. I have seen people, and these people disgust me. These people, like this guy, and again, I'm not saying that because this guy's a cat. I love cats, I do. But it worked for the cat design, which it could have worked for a dog too. But people like this in real life, they need a kick in the balls. Like people that try to manipulate people and try to break them mentally and emotionally just because they get the satisfaction from it, they deserve a brick to the face. They deserve maybe 2 bricks to the face. And people like this, like, there are people in relationships. I think it's so funny that there are people like this guy that that they take advantage of women. There are women that take advantage of men too. Then they end up getting an STD, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened." Bitch, you deserved it. I don't care if you got an STD, syphilis, gonorrhea, um, AIDS. You deserve it. You deserve it. How you treated people, manipulated them, treated them like crap, cheated and hoard yourself around. You deserve it. You deserve that STD. And so people like this, whenever they get their comeuppance, oh gosh, is that satisfying. It's so satisfying. Fluttershy stood up for herself. And the funny thing here is that Fluttershy, whenever she became aware of the situation, she knew exactly what was going on. And so she was able to stand up for this guy and kick him to the curb. And like I said, people like this, and this is kind of downplayed, but it's very interesting. And that's one of the beauties of animation like this, of storytelling, is that while it might appear a little simplistic on the surface, there's a deeper meaning, a deeper undertone that you can see beneath the surface. And that's something that I can see with this episode. This doesn't just apply to, like I said, to relationships. This applies to friendships as well. And there are many different situations like this in real life that have occurred. And like I said, Fluttershy was able to stand up for herself and cut this guy loose and realize that, of course, that, real friends, her friends, real friends will treat you with respect and treat you with love and care. And they won't try to take advantage of you. They care about you, and they want to see you happy. They don't want to see you sad. They don't want to see you upset. And Fluttershy wasn't trying to toss aside her friends. I think that's important to note, is that Fluttershy wasn't trying to toss aside her friends. It's always, it's always interesting whenever you end up meeting someone who you seem to click with, that kind of understands a joke you say, or maybe understands an aspect of your personality that maybe your other friends don't exactly understand, or they understand, they don't they don't share it. And so I think every one of us is like that. We meet someone who ends up laughing at something we say, or it's very easy to suddenly get involved, to sort of, it's very easy to suddenly want a friendship with that person. But it's very easy to get lost in that, in that sudden euphoric feeling. It's very easy. But the sensible thing, and I'm not saying Fluttershy wasn't sensible. We're all guilty of this. We're all guilty of this. Um, Letting ourselves be led astray, letting ourselves be led down the wrong path. And I myself did this. I will admit it. There was a guy at work that, for the most part, at first, he seemed like a friendly guy, and but I was able to notice that there were moments where he sort of belittled me and bullied me. And I was, at first, I tried to look over it. And this has been over the span of the past couple of years. For the past year, things were kind of okay. But over the past year, like 2020, leading up to now, I noticed that the belittling and the bullying kind of began to increase. The moments where he seemed to act genuine and more like just a decent human being were beginning to slack off. And I was able to look at it from a third person perspective. And I was able to look at it and wonder, what do I want here? Do I continue to try to be friendly with this person who is belittling me and beginning to treat me like crap? Or do I break off contact with this person? Now, I work with this guy, and I finally reached my breaking point whenever he ended up insulting me. Uh, he ended up insulting me more than once, actually, but he, I realized that I was I was getting manipulated. I was kind of getting manipulated. I was kind of being bullied, and that's whenever I realized I was able to say, I'm done. I'm done. If he speaks, I'll speak, but I'm not going to go out of my way to be friendly to this guy, because until he starts treating me with respect, I'm not going to treat him with it. And so I made that decision. And the moment that I made that decision, it felt like a big weight had been lifted off of me, because I tried for a while to try to evaluate what was going on and if things could improve, if things could get better. But I realized how he is how he is. That's how he is. And he's the kind of person, yeah, and I mean, we're all like that pretty much. You like them as they are, or you don't. But that doesn't mean there are going to be people that you're not going to agree with, that you're not going to like because of their personality. There's no shame in that. And because of this guy, how he is, he's very different than me with his personality. There are some things we agree on, but I think there's too much bad blood. And just because we do agree on some things, it doesn't mean that there can be a friendship there, because there's too much bad blood. He enjoys belittling me. And I don't know if it's because, in a way, I'm like Fluttershy. I'm kind of meek, and I haven't really stood up for myself yet. The thing is, I hate confrontation. I hate conflict. And it's easier in cartoons. It's more difficult. I'll admit it, it's more difficult in real life. And I am not trying to be biased. I do not want to be a hypocrite whenever I said earlier, cut ties with people like that. The thing is, I never considered myself friends with this guy. I always said we were frenemies. Taking a cue from MLP here, from the frenemies episode. I always considered us frenemies. We worked together for 8-9 hours, but after that, we never had any contact. And so I would just put up with him at work. But I reached the point where I realized, you know, was I going to keep putting up with that, the belittling, or was I just going to quit? Was I just going to say, I'm done with this? And so I got to where I just stopped interacting with him. If he says hi or something, I'll say hi, but otherwise I won't make an effort to speak to him. I won't go out of my way. And I feel better. I really do. I feel better because I made that decision, I made that choice, and I made that move. And I feel a lot better. I still, and right now, thank God, he switched. They gave him a different shift, and so he's been off the shift that I've been at. Oh my gosh, it's such a huge relief. It's such a huge relief. It's it's so much more peaceful and quiet. Um, and I know that he's going to come back, but I personally, it's still going to be the same. As long as I have to work with him, I'm not going to go out of my way to be friendly with him. I mean, if he's broke down, that's just how I am. If the guy's broke down, I'm not going to be a dick and just take off and leave him. I will try to help just because that's me. But I'm not going to, but to be friendly with him, I'm not going to go out of my way. And so I can honestly relate to Fluttershy. There are moments, I mean, like Fluttershy, I hate conflict, I hate confrontation, but there are moments whenever you need to stand up for yourself. And I'm still waiting for that moment where I am going to have to stand up for myself. I'm still waiting for it. I've stood up for myself a few times to my bosses, and I had no fear of losing my job because I figured if they want to fire me for standing up for myself, okay, then maybe I don't need this job anyway. And they don't look at me with respect because I stood up for myself. Instead, they hate me even more, but I feel better because I stood up for myself and let them know I'm not a doormat. I made a video about that a long time ago. I once had a boss who was in a bad mood that night. He got on to me for literally going back to the meat department and washing my hands and blowing my nose. 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, and he comes back, gets on to me, and tells me to get back to work. But then here, a guy comes in that he knows, and he starts talking to him for 10 minutes straight. And I walk up to him and told him the same thing he told me, get back to work. Oh, he hated my guts for that. The only thing he could keep telling me was, I'm the boss, you do what I say. And I told him, do not tell me to do something if you're not going to do it yourself. I told him, I don't deal with hypocrites. I don't listen to hypocrites. To me, the mature thing would have been for him to have said, you know what, you're right. I got onto you for that, and then here I was not even working. I was doing the exact same thing, and so I apologize for that. That would have been the mature thing, but instead he just kept telling me that, and he just kept telling me, I'm the boss, you do what I say, because he couldn't rationalize. He could not comprehend the fact that someone actually stood up to him. He didn't speak to me for 6 months, and man, that was a great 6 months. Then he got fired later, so in your face. I'm still working there, dude. That's what you get. Suck it, sucker. But I gotta say, I really love this episode. I really do love this episode. It was a really adorable episode for Fluttershy. And the funny thing is, like I said, you never try to out-cute Fluttershy. This guy effed up. This guy effed up because, and this episode does definitely have a lot of elements from the original G4 from MLP FIM in it, because Fluttershy took cues. You know, she was the meek, the little shy one, of course, and then she ended up. It's kind of like taking elements from hanging around Discord here, which I thought was cute, and the thing about Fluttershy, of course, is it's kind of like with how whenever she was trying to stand up for herself and she started becoming a bully whenever Iron Will was trying to teach her that, and Rarity and Pinkie Pie was able to help Fluttershy to realize what she was doing, and she was so ashamed. She hated so much what she had become. But Fluttershy, over the course of the series, learned how to stand up for herself more. And she showed that development. And it's kind of like that. I feel a lot of relatability to Fluttershy because I used to be a lot more of a doormat. But I will stand up for myself now, but I want to have respect for people's feelings and emotions, and I don't want to do anything to hurt anyone deliberately. Um, And so I try to avoid conflict and confrontation because I just hate drama and I hate conflict. I want to see people, happy and getting along. But of course, life doesn't work that way. And so I said before, and so I'll try to tone down a situation to try to de-escalate a situation if possible. And I hate getting flustered. I hate getting angry. But I've said it before, there is a beast inside in a cage, and if you unlock that cage, it's your fault. It's your fault. I gave you a warning. You should have heeded it. And that's pretty much Fluttershy here. Like, you don't mess with the Flutter Girl here. You don't mess with her. And the thing about Fluttershy, of course, and I have to say that Fluttershy handled the situation in a very mature manner. And that's something that I have to point out is there are two ways to handle a situation like this. And unfortunately, some people want to use violence. I never understood the reasoning behind trying to feel macho in a fight, but there are people that literally will challenge you. And some people like that, like they're like, all right, I'm going to give you a beat down. And I never understood why violence had to be the end result, why that had to be the finishing move, why that had to be the thing. Fluttershy handled it perfectly. She let the guy know basically she wasn't going to be a doormat. She understood she understood how he was manipulating her, taking advantage of her, and basically she found out that he didn't really care about her feelings and how easily that the guy replaced her. It's not because she's easily replaced, but she learned how his personality is. And somehow this ended up escalating into a cute off. Okay, that would be hilarious to do in real life. Just imagine two people getting into a pose off, like them just posing, and like whoever had the best pose won. If that has ever happened, let me know. If that ever happens, record it. I want to see it. That would be hilarious and awesome. But like, Fluttershy didn't use her hooves or the pony version equivalent of fists. No, instead she just out-cuted the guy. I wish that could be a thing in real life. Like, you just start smiling and being cute, and suddenly the other person just rockets off into space. But legit, the real life version of this is, stand up for yourself, of course, and don't let them manipulate and take advantage of you. And letting them know that you're not going to be a doormat, just walk off. Just walk off, because Fluttershy was the better person here. She didn't beat the crap out of the guy, although he would deserve it. I'm not condoning violence, but if it just so happens to be delivered, and I'm not the one that delivers it, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no. But I have to say, like, I really enjoyed this episode. There was a lot of relatability to this episode. It was cute. And in terms of relatability, I have to say, story-wise, this is the second highly relatable episode so far that I've watched out of the 4. The second one was, I think, the second episode. Yeah, the second episode with the guy challenging Rainbow Dash. But I really love this episode. And I gotta say, this is definitely one of my favorite episodes because of the relatability and the storytelling. And naturally, I hate that Fluttershy had to go through this, but I think a lot of us have had to go through this. And it's something that you learn, and it helps you to evolve, and it builds you. It builds you up and builds... For some of us, we build a wall around our hearts because we're afraid of getting hurt. And I can understand it. I'm not against it. Some people would say it's not a good idea, but I'd rather have that wall and be cautious than to just openly say, I trust this new person, and it be taken advantage of. So, yeah, I really relate to this episode, and I know a lot of other people can. And this was a great episode, and it really did work for Fluttershy, because Fluttershy was a great character for this episode. And I love it. I really do. And it's funny because some, younger people could watch it and not really see the deeper meaning behind the episode. But I myself did. I did. And this works for relationships and friendships. There are people that will try to take advantage of you, manipulate you, and they don't really care. They don't really care about you. They will move on easily to the next person in line. And so this other person that he found, I really feel sorry for her, because there's a risk, you know, she may not even know that she's being taken advantage of. And in times like this, um, the smart thing to do would be, if you could, tell this person, you know, like tell this girl how this guy is, that he's manipulating her. Of course, that won't always work because they will think, you know what? No, they're not. They really care, and then they'll be taken advantage. I've seen it. They'll be taken advantage of, and then suddenly they come to you and they're like, you were totally right. They took advantage of me. They manipulated me. You were right, and I didn't listen, and I'm sorry. But you know, like I said, at some point this guy will encounter. Actually, he kind of already got his comeuppance right there with Fluttershy in a way. But at some point, the best thing to do is just try to ignore these people, because at some point they will come across a person that will leave them with their nose in the back of their skull, or coming out the rectum. Preferably the latter. But yeah, I did love this episode, and there's a few little details that I have to that I have to point out. Is like I said, there are little partial references. I don't know if direct references or indirect references to like past episodes. But again, love some of the character designs here. Really cute little characters that they have, little background characters. And the idea of Fluttershy using what looks like a tablet, it's funny. And then she's using a phone. Like, then she's using a phone. Like, oh my gosh. Like, the only other character so far, the only character that I have seen to use a phone in anything so far was Discord. And so that's why I'm thinking that Discord gave her this phone. It's a little thing I like to imagine, that he gave her this phone. That this Discord actually gave her this phone. That's what I like to imagine. But again, we're seeing some of the use with the modern technology, with the characters using the modern technology here with like phones and tablets. I think it's cute. I think it's fun to see the introduction of some of the modern technology into the show. It's different, of course, than G4, but this is a different show. It follows with the characters, but this is a kind of a spin-off thing with a modern twist, with a twist. And so, yeah, I have to say it's very interesting, and I really do like it. Of course, with the music and stuff, like, honestly, out of all the characters that would have worked for this, like, the 80s workout flair and theme, Rainbow Dash is the girl. Like, she is the girl to go to, because she just has that 80s workout vibe going. You know, she's definitely the girl for that. And again, love little background characters here, which is super cute. And we finally get the introduction of Spike, like 4 episodes in before we finally see this guy. I was actually kind of wondering the other day if we would see him in the show. And again, interesting to note that some of the characters are more bipedal now. Like, the characters are actually standing on their forelegs, which is cute. Like, I think it's cool to see the characters doing that. Continuing with some of the more modern technology, of course, we got DVDs here, which is super cool. And judging by the art on this, looks like we have a bat pony and a girl. What is this, Twilight? Not the character, no. Is this like... It is. It is! Oh my gosh, so help me. So help me, I think this is a reference to Twilight. Because you got he's a vampire. He's got like the high collar. You got sparkles around him, then you got the girl. This is like Twilight, isn't it? This is the this is the book. This is the movie. Oh my gosh, that's funny. And I have to say, it would have been cool to have seen Fluttershy with the anklet, but, like, he was kind of pimping her out. The only thing she wasn't wearing was a choker. And, yeah. I have to say, I'm kind of a sucker for the chokers. So, it would have been cool to see Fluttershy wearing that. Like, my female character that I'm playing with in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, I gave her a choker. My OC has a choker, if you haven't noticed. That's not a necklace. My OC, Ember Frost, that's a choker that she wears all the time. That's a choker. She's always wore it ever since I created her back in 2013. She's always wore a choker, so yeah. And I gotta say it, it just kind of fit this little scenario here. Fluttershy leveled up. Fluttershy acquired Facebook filter. Facebook profile filter. I mean, it does. It looks like an app filter or like a Facebook filter. And of course, at the end, Fluttershy thanks her friends for being there for her and sticking up for her and helping her whenever she ditched them for some too cool cat. This is, yeah, again, relatable. Like, like there. I mean, don't ditch your good friends for somebody who obviously doesn't deserve your friendship, of course. But like, real friends are gonna respect you, care about you. Those are the people that will stand by you, that you keep in your life. 2-bit people like this guy, no, they're not worth your time. They're not worth your time. They're not worth an old sock. And I have to do a freeze frame on this face. I mean, yep, this is pretty much like how I feel at times. This is like this is me most of the time, and then this other face is pretty much like the beast. Try to keep contained at times. I think a lot of us can relate to that. And yeah, I have to honestly say, yes. How can you not have sugar on cupcakes? You just can't, dude. You can't. No, no. Like, don't like. I'm the same way with cupcakes. Like, I don't like sprinkles, but cupcakes with like frosting, yes. Um, and donuts. Like, I don't like sprinkled donuts. Jelly donuts I like, and donuts with like the glaze. I don't like powdered donuts or sugar powdered donuts. I don't like those. But like the chocolate glazed donuts or the jelly donuts with the strawberry or the raspberry filling or the chocolate filling or the chocolate donuts with the cream filling. Oh, those are good. All of those are good. Now, those are my favorite kind of donuts. But again, I love this episode. It's very cute, very sweet. It's honestly, and it's one of my favorite episodes of Pony Life right now. We're just 4 episodes in, but honestly, this is one of my favorite episodes. This one and the second episode. Uh, but again, thanks again for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed. And again, to the writers of this episode, I really thank you. Thank you all. Thank you to the writers for doing this episode and woven the story the way you did. There's a lot of relatability that you can take from it in different situations, and so this can apply to a lot of people. And thank you for doing this episode the way that you did. Thank you. And so I'm loving this. I'm loving this. It's great to see that, we had still carrying over the relatability, the highly relatable morals and situations that G4 did. So it's great to see that. It's great to see that someone said that this is being called G4.5. So it's great to see that G4.5 is continuing with that too. But thanks again to the writers for doing this episode. Thank you. And thank you guys again for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed. And hopefully I will see you guys, Lord willing, in the next video that I do. Take care and pony on.